far left Portland City Councilwoman, Joanne Hardesty. We've talked about her a bunch. She's way far left, pro-Antifa, pro-defund the police. She's been a hot mess since she's been in office. Can't pay her credit card bills on time. Defaults, gets sued, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Now, apparently, we've got a veteran who during a city council meeting brought up issues of honesty and accuses her of stolen valor after her military record is questioned. So you got a veteran, somebody who's actually served, went to the trouble of checking out her military record, says she's lying. And we know she already lied about her college degree, said she got one. She didn't. What's going on now? Let's jump on in. Let's see what we got. This is from Andy No, who is being described as a far-right extremist. That's interesting because I don't really see Andy No in that light at all. He covers some stuff other people won't cover, but you know what? That's kind of what we do here on News for Reasonable People as well, right? A recent poll showed that 49% of likely voters said they'd vote for Gonzalez, a lawyer and technology business owner, compared to 22% for Joanne Hardesty. She's running for re-election. She's won once. Is she going to win a second time? Probably not. She's had issue after issue after issue come up. And now we've got this crazy thing about her military record. In a city council meeting on Thursday, far-left Portland City Commissioner Joanne Hardesty, who was running for re-election, was accused of stolen valor. And she lied about her time in the military. Hardesty is also called on her. She allegedly lied. I should say that. But when you see this video, you'll be like, yeah, okay, what's going on there? Hardesty has also called on her challenger, Renee Gonzalez, to denounce the Post-Millennials editor-at-large, Andy No, for his coverage of her. So Andy No puts up a tweet and just says, here's what happened. And somehow that has now been shifted to, so covering the news is now far-right extremist covering the news. The official Twitter account for Hardesty's re-election posted on Thursday night, will Renee denounce attacks on Joanne from his supporter, right-wing extremist Andy No? Why is Renee the darling of the far right? Well, Renee isn't, but he's not far left either. So it's interesting, isn't it? That no matter what you do, you know, you're going to be shoved into far left or far right. Just don't seem to have any middle ground here. Let's take a watch of this video. It's a few minutes long, but I think it's interesting, and I think you'll kind of get the idea here. Hey, here's what happened.
Next individual, please, Keelan. Item number 840.
Request of Philip Tobias to address council regarding the importance of honesty.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, City Council. Commissioner Hardesty, this is for you. 1 year ago, I emailed your office seeking clarification about some discrepancies I had found in your military service timeline. In that year, I haven't heard back from you. But I know you're getting my emails because I had emailed your office about a donation problem I had, and shockingly, you got back to me within a day. Well, on that point, I actually forwarded your records. I partnered with a nonprofit to get your military service records. In 2018, the Portland Mercury in their endorsement article, they said your campaign had gave them paperwork that said you were honorably discharged in 1979 before continuing in the reserves into 1984. All of that is a lie. So I'm just wondering what information you actually gave the Portland Mercury. But that's not the only misinformation I found. You've made... Which part? You were not discharged in 1979. Well, let me finish my speech. But that's not the only discrepancies I found. On the city website and with certain in other interviews, you have said you served the board of USS Army Gompers from 1978 to 1983. As I said, I have your military records. That's a lie. You served the board for 13 months, from November for 13 months. And speaking, I'm going to move off the military records for just a moment and talk about your fake college degree, Mrs. Hardesty. On LinkedIn, you claim a college degree from Baltimore Community College. But on election filings, you admit in the 2018 election filings for city council.
So, Mayor, should I allow him to continue to lie on me on the public record?
May I finish? I can document.
Excuse me. Let's do this. You finish, and then the commissioner gets to respond. How about that?
I totally agree. That's
all right, so why don't you finish your 3 minutes? And okay, fair enough. Thank you.
So back to the fake college degree. On LinkedIn, Commissioner Hardesty claims an associates in business from the Community College of Baltimore. But in the 2018 city filing for city commissioner, she admits that she dropped out and she does not have a college degree. And so I just think between these numerous lies between her military service record and her fake college degree, you know, she's misleading voters, taxpayers, and her customers or her business. And as a veteran myself, I find this highly despicable. And like I said, I tried to talk to Joanne. I tried to email her, talk to her privately about this. I tried to schedule a meeting with her scheduler to talk about this, and I was completely ignored for over a year. And that's why I had to go through the trouble of filing a FOIA request to find out everything she told the Portland Mercury was a lie, all of it. Thank you.
All right, obviously, Commissioner Hardesty didn't want to respond. We'll just leave it there. Next individual, please. Item number 8.
So that is how issues are being handled in Portland. All right, something comes up, doesn't look good, doesn't bode well for your reelection campaign. You get up out of the city council meeting, you walk out, and then the mayor says, yep, Commissioner Hardesty didn't want to respond, so she left, so we're moving on. Now, if you're innocent of these kinds of charges, which is, hey, you lied about your military record, wouldn't you want to respond? Wouldn't you stay in the pocket and respond because you're innocent? The only reason you get up and leave, it's like when you leave a really bad argument. It's because you know you're probably losing and you want to cut your losses. So for her to cut her losses like this, just gets up and walks out in the middle of a council meeting. And that kind of tells you something right there, right? Tells you one of two things. Either, number one, she's guilty, which we don't know. These are allegations. I don't know the ins and outs of this. We haven't seen proof of this, but this veteran, he seems pretty confident in his position, confident enough to go up in front of the city council, including Mayor Ted, and say, hey, we've got issues of honesty here. So you've got that she's either guilty or, this is how she handles problems, just basically runs away from them, just runs away, just can't deal, run away. Now, she was a big proponent of defund the police. Now, how has that worked out for Portland? Rest of the country, crime fairly stable, within a pretty narrow range. FBI says Portland, 30, you guys are 37, 38% above the rest of the country with your violent crime. Not a good look, is it? Not a good look. That whole defund the police thing, that's really, really not working out. So you've got that situation going on. Let's just take a quick peek. So then Joanne for Portland, for her Twitter account, she says, my opponent denounced right-wing extremist Andy No. Breaking, and here's Andy No's, his text along with that video. Breaking. And this was October 13th. At the Portland City Council meeting, a veteran brought to the public's attention that he made a Freedom of Information Act request on far-left city council member, Joanne PDX, her Twitter account, military service record. He says she lied. Hardesty storms out of the meeting. That is what he reported. That's a pretty accurate portrayal of exactly what happened, right? I just, watched the video and listened to the video with you guys. Is that a pretty accurate? Yes, it is. What about that is far right extremist by Andy Ngo? The fact that he reported an issue of honesty and integrity on a current council member. And when the city of Portland is having issue after issue after issue after issue. And I think a lot of folks are like, you know what? We need new blood in here for our political leadership. Joanne Hardesty is one of the ones that I think she will not win her next reelection. She will get crushed. And it's because of this kind of stuff. And it's, even if this stuff isn't true, the way that she handled it, which is walking out of a meeting. Yeah. If you're innocent, you just sit in the pocket and you go, you know what? You're wrong. Here are the dates I served. This is what was portrayed in the newspaper. This is where the newspaper article is wrong. She didn't do that, did she? Got up and left. Gives the impression that she is guilty. I'm not saying she is, but it gives that impression. And optics are everything. What are the optics of Portland right now? Well, a lot of the residents don't feel safe walking alone in their own neighborhoods because crime has gotten so bad. That's not a good optic. You've got businesses shutting down left and right. And you're having to spend $2 million because the knuckleheads that this Joanne Hardesty commissioner sided with, the pro-Antifa, Black Lives Matter, caused $2 million worth of damage to their beloved elk statue in downtown Portland while simultaneously throwing Molotov cocktails at the federal buildings. This is a commissioner that supported all that. And now some of these things are coming back to haunt her because the optics of Portland right now are just so poor. And so, Andy Ngo, he puts this out there. All right, this is what happened. And this is a feed from the Portland City Council. I'm not editing this stuff to make it up. You don't have to. You can go right to the Portland City Council, get this video feed that I just showed you. And it's like, all right, yeah, that just happened. Wild stuff, right? And again, I would say, hey, these are just allegations. These are just allegations. Okay, so they are. So then you got to deal with them. I haven't heard anything in the interim of Joanne Hardesty saying, hey, that's not true. Or here's the deal. Here's the real deal. So it leads me to believe that these allegations, they might actually be true. But again, we don't know. But what I'm saying is, hey, it doesn't matter. It's the optics of how you handle things that really matter. And in a leadership role, in a leadership position, you gotta be on your toes and ready to handle stuff. And if skeletons come out of your closet, you gotta be ready to deal with them. You don't leave a city council meeting because you've been lied on. Don't do that. You stay in the pocket. You deal with it, you give your version, and then you let people decide on their own. You let people decide. I thought it was interesting that this guy, he requested a Freedom of Information Act, and exactly what the issue was with her military service, it's not really clear. From the video, it's not essentially clear. And yet this gentleman, he's pretty confident that she lied. And so do we just let it sit there? Apparently. And then Hardesty goes on the attack and says, why won't my opponent denounce right-wing extremist Andy Ngo? Why won't my opponent denounce that? Well, because he's merely reporting the news. He's merely reporting an incident that happened to you during a city council meeting. That's not exactly flying the Confederate flag, is it? No. And most of what Andy covers, he covers stuff that is going on. He covers Antifa. He covers, a lot of this craziness that's happened in Portland where a lot of other folks wouldn't touch the topics. They wouldn't touch the topics because of fear from reprisal of the far left. Now you're seeing what the far left has to offer, Joanne Hardesty being, prime example of that. How's that working out? How's that far left policy? How's all that stuff going in the city of Portland? Well, I think politically, people are looking for other options. And I've covered this in a podcast as well recently. You could possibly have a Republican governor in the state of Oregon in this next election cycle. That is a possibility. I'm not saying it's a probability because Oregon's blue, just like the state of Washington that I live in is. So the odds of getting a Republican, but the whole point is, President Biden was just in town this past weekend. He had a bumbled up speech there, but he was in town to support Democrats in Oregon because they're taking a whack. They are having some issues with their reelection and election campaigns because so much stuff is being, identified as, all right, these are leftist policies that are not working out very well. And so you've got governor and you've got a bunch of other elections going on where President Biden felt it important to make it all the way to Oregon. Didn't come to Washington State. No, Oregon. Crazy times, right? So Andy Ngo literally just publishes this and he's deemed a far-right extremist. Ngo has been a frequent critic of Hardesty, showcasing her failed policies and radical affiliations, as well as her personal and financial troubles. Her personal was she was claimed to be in a hit-and-run accident. She claimed to have left a hit-and-run accident. I don't know how that ended up. Just the fact that somebody claimed that she was the one that did it. It's like, okay, that's not good. And her financial troubles. She had a couple of lawsuits out there. Hardesty didn't pay her credit card bills. Credit card company, big bank, I think it was Chase Bank, sued her. She didn't show up for one of the hearings. Just didn't show. I didn't think I had to. Well, that's how you get things to go as sideways as you do in Portland because you've got leadership like this. I can't pay the credit card bills. Doesn't show up for hearings. When she does show up for hearings, she leaves when there's issues of her valor being called into question. And if you're a vet and you did your time and you stayed it, then you should be able to defend that. If you can't, then you're going to do whatever it takes to try and get out of that. And her response was, I guess I'm just going to leave. I guess I'm just going to walk out and be done with this. Interesting approach, isn't it? Far right extremist, Andy Ngo. All right, I don't think there's much else. If you want to look up this article, it's on Post Millennial. Andy Ngo's editor at large. Good stuff from Andy Ngo. And he is not a far right extremist. He just kind of shows things the way they are. And they point out a lot of the extreme left, their stuff that just doesn't work out in reality. All right, that's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up soon on the next one. Bye for now.